Last on Everdark, Elizabeth gets to ask Daemon a variety of questions. While everyone is very interested in her answers, Fiona is the most struck by them as her beliefs are challenged. Sophia then reveals that her mistress, the immortal seer, is being held in solace. Daemon promises to rescue her. Everdark, Episode 55, At the King's Pleasure. Daemon waited in his and Julian's room in the guest house for Julian to join him. His fledgling had gone to settle the Thorns into their room. The Thorns, at first, had resisted the idea of staying at Ravenscroft Manor. Not that they had wanted to leave Julian or Christian alone, but they had wanted to retreat to their territory. He understood this, on an intellectual level at least. They saw the boys as theirs. The boys were no longer theirs, but the instinct to hold the boys close and protect them, even if they were incapable of doing so, was understandable. In order to keep the Thorns here, Julian and Christian had been determined to make them feel at home, which included staying with them on their own for some time prior to dawn. So Daemon waited. A few hours was nothing for an immortal, usually. He sought to commune with the earth, not fully, which would have required direct skin-to-dirt contact, but to assume a meditative state and allow his senses to spread outwards across the world. He stripped down to his black leather pants and sat cross-legged on their bed. However, every creak, every footstep, every breath, every laugh, every damned mouse whisker moving had him opening his eyes and looking towards the door expectantly, even though he knew it was not Julian there. Julian's thoughts were like a river rushing with too many ideas, like fish leaping out of the silvery waters and then vanishing beneath them again. He was trying to give Julian privacy, as this concept seemed to matter very much to his fledgling in this matter, but he was very inclined to eavesdrop. He wanted to listen in because he knew, oh, how he knew, that the Thorns were trying to sow doubt about him, Balthazar, and all vampire kind into the boys' minds. Just as his will on this was about to break, he felt Julian reach for him mentally, and their minds held hands comfortably. His shoulders, which he had not realized were stiff, relaxed as soon as Julian's quicksilver mind brushed against his.
"Hey, sorry for the wait. I'm coming,"
Julian told him, and he could sense that his fledgling was jogging out of the main house and to the guest one. It was not so long, Daemon lied. It had been interminable. "You are tired."
"Not so tired that I want to go to bed quite yet,"
Julian insisted, and the image of them kissing was suddenly in the forefront of his fledgling's mind. "Oh, I see," Daemon chuckled. "Not that tired, then?"
"No. Are you tired?"
By which Julian really meant, was he not interested in kissing and caressing and other things? "I am not tired at all," Daemon assured him.
"Good."
And there was the impression of Julian dancing in his mind, even though his fledgling was still just running. It must have meant something that he did not yet understand.
"It does. It just means I'm so happy that I could dance. The ultimate expression of happiness."
"I see." Daemon did not, but it did not matter. He knew his fledgling was pleased, and that was all that mattered. "How did your meeting go?"
"It wasn't a meeting."
Julian laughed. He was in the guest house now, charging up the stairs.
"It was just, being with family, making them happier with the situation, soothing fears, that sort of thing."
Daemon did not know. Even though the Immortals had been the equivalent of family in some ways, he was their king. They reported to him. They had meetings. Even when they might have been feeding or riding or doing other things, there was still a formality to it. "Was that all it was? I thought perhaps it might be an inquisition," Daemon said. He rose up from the bed and headed towards the door to greet Julian, not wanting there to be an infinitesimal delay between Julian entering their rooms and him seeing his fledgling. He felt a mental sigh come from Julian, but then his fledgling agreed.
"You already know Elizabeth enough to know there was a discussion."
"What sorts of discussion?"
"The usual. Who is that dark-haired man that wears leather and fur?"
Julian was hugely amused by this, though Daemon could not quite understand why his clothing was so funny. He thought it suited him perfectly, and Julian seemed to admire his beauty in them. Daemon had reached the door, as had Julian. His fledgling opened the door, and Daemon captured him in his arms before taking his mouth in a long, deep kiss. Julian moaned, his mental state melting into something that did not allow him to form thoughts, just feelings. My dearest acolytes, I regret to inform you that this podcast has been edited to conform to this platform's rules and regulations. Obviously, sexy vampire interludes are not appreciated by these plebeians. This episode has been cut to be acceptable to audiences of all ages. Not to worry, if you are interested in hearing the full episode with all the steamy parts included, you can purchase a monthly membership at verrrry.com. Not ready to commit to a monthly membership? Then please visit the shop at verrrry.com, where the full episodes are available for sale in audiobook format. The Everdark podcast by Ex Aratare is performed by Edward Fox, Adam Riley, Jay Thelis, Bruno Devant, Kelly Michaels, and Hannah Hart, with Liz Gentle as Seer. Edited by Matthew Prince, continuity by Adrielle Wiggins. Everdark is produced by Wraith Rain Publishing in association with Her Grace Reed Studios. Copyright 2022 by Wraith Rain Publishing.